Welcome to the Marriage Counselor's Corner. Right this way. Your therapist will see you shortly. In the meantime, sit back, kick your feet up on the couch, and get ready to focus on adding very valuable tools to your marriage toolkit. And now your host and marriage counselor, David Taylor.
Hello. Guess who is back? What's up, guys? My name is David Taylor, and I am your host. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage Counselor's Corner podcast. I am so excited to be in this place today. I got a really nice episode lined up for you guys. And maybe I'm a little bit pumped because I just got out of a coaching session with a husband, and man, he was just dropping nuggets. So I'm like, you know what? Let me get on air and let me take that energy and just give it to y'all. So anyway, welcome to another episode, guys. This is the Marriage Counselor's Corner podcast. And this podcast is a place where you get credible and tangible marriage-related information from a licensed mental health counselor. Now, over my past almost 2 decades of clinical experience, I have discovered the things that work to make your marriage healthy. So, please see these episodes as a masterclass in marriage, where I take a psychological and practical approach to marriage education and enrichment. And like I said, this is a brand new episode number 22. And in today's episode, I'm going to be discussing a topic that is specifically for the husbands. Now, I had a podcast that came out years ago. I'm talking back in 2015 or 16. And I did an episode back then that only a couple thousand people heard, because that podcast, I never really marketed it. I never really finished it. So it was just kind of left floating out there. And so the topic that I will be discussing today is going to be very similar to an episode that I did in my For Husbands Only podcast. But now I'm doing it for more than just a couple thousand people. And I've noticed, though, that over the last couple of weeks, actually last couple of months, I've been working with a lot of husbands, and many of them are fighting these battles. And some of them are winning. A lot of them are struggling and they're wrestling. And I wanted to give this message to you. So husbands, I'm talking to you. If you're fighting, if you're wrestling, if you're struggling with something in your marriage, in your life, in your family, in your health, this is a message that I want to give to you. So today's episode will be slightly different, as I will be talking specifically to the husbands. And I'm going to be talking to the husbands about the battles that we face as husbands. So see this as more of a coaching session for all of my husband listeners. But listen, I know that the overwhelming majority of those that listen to this show, they're wives. And so if you are a wife and you're listening to this, don't tune out. Don't turn it off. I want you to stay. You are still invited. Okay, just you got to sit at the back of the classroom, but you're still invited. And I want you to take some notes, and I want you to share this information with your husband if he's not listening, or with any of the other men in your life, because I know that those men could use some encouragement. So we're going to talk about some things today. We're going to talk about the battles, every husband's battle. But before we get started, remember I said that I would also like to share with you guys ratings and the reviews that I get from my listeners. Well, I would like to read to you a recent 3-star review. That's right. 3-star review that I recently received. Actually, I received this last week. And listen, I'm not offended by 3-star reviews. I like to hear what people have to say. So I'm going to read it, and then I'll have some words afterwards. So here's what this individual wrote. She starts off by saying, helpful, but you'd have better reach if you kept it secular. So y'all already know where this is going. She says, I am an atheist personally, and I've derived many helpful tips from this episode, and I know many find comfort in religion and fully respect that. I want to be able to listen to this with my partner, but the religious commentary would prevent him from being able to get past it. I think your reach would be better if you kept it about the relationship and therapy. Okay. Well, first off, I definitely appreciate your honest review, whoever you are. It's a wife that's been listening. And I thank you for the confidence and the courage that it took to actually write a review. I have over 670 something reviews, and that's like I have over 1 million plus downloads and listens. So I know that's just a small percentage of people that hear these messages in this podcast. So I appreciate you reaching out. Now I will say 3 stars. That will negatively impact my metrics, but hey, at least it's a review. At least it's something that you gave me from your heart. Now, with that said, I want to say this as well. I understand that you may feel, due to me being a Christian and you being an atheist, that there is a fundamental difference between us. And as a byproduct of that difference, I'm sure you feel that what I share perhaps needs to be filtered through my theological frame of reference. And I think that's fair. But hear me out for a second. Just walk with me for a second. When it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationships, I am a highly trained and experienced professional with nearly 2 decades of experience, research, and practice in the field. I don't say that to gloat or anything like that. I'm just kind of calling a fact. I mean, I've been in the field doing my work. And so if you are to take anything from my podcast, because by the way, I'm not offended by what you said. So if anybody's listening and they're trying to see, is David offended? No. If you know me, you know it take more than that to get me offended. But if you are to take anything from my podcast, I want you to take the truth. Take the things that, as you have admitted, take those things that have worked to improve your relationship and let the proof speak for itself. So whether it comes from an atheist or a believer, a tree shall be known by the fruit that it bears. So if your husband can't receive the truth because it is from a believer, then you could repurpose my information. You have my permission to repurpose my information without my face and without my name. However, my guess is that, for instance, if, let's say he had cancer and you were going to find the best specialist, the best cancer specialist, and you found the best cancer specialist, but this specialist happened to be a believer, my guess is that he wouldn't care as long as the specialist could get the job done. Heck, if his car needed to be repaired and the best auto mechanic was a believer who listened to Christian music while working on his car, my guess is he wouldn't care because he would still take the car there if he was looking to get the best results. So I implore you to look for the results, take the results, and apply the results. Either way, I appreciate your honest rating and review, right? So thank you for that. And for the rest of y'all listeners, how come y'all ain't posting your ratings and reviews? Where y'all at, right? Give me some more honesty. Give me your truth. Give me your thoughts. I will read them on air. And if it's something that I can address and fix or change or add, I will. Now, with this, I cannot compromise who I am. And so either you spit out the bones and take the meat, or you have my permission to find another episode or another podcaster that perhaps may not integrate so much of their faith. So, and I understand that. I appreciate that. Anyways, I want to get back to the topic at hand because I have some things to discuss for us husbands. So I am calling all of the husbands right now, all of y'all that's listening, I'm calling you guys to the front of the classroom. So y'all in the back that's playing around and talking, come on to the front because we are about to have a master class and I need your undivided attention. And wives, you can all take a back seat, but sit tight, stay, get some popcorn, get you some water, take some notes, and be prepared to share this with the men in your lives. Okay. So with all that said, let's dive in and get started talking about every husband's battle. Husbands, let me ask you a question, or a few questions, actually. What is your biggest battle? Is it women? Is it money? Or the desire for power? Is it the fear of failure? What about not having enough to provide or not being able to do the things that you would like to do in life? What do you struggle with the most? What is your battle? See, a lot of men would say that they don't have any battles. A lot would say that they have life under control. Well, if that is you, then you may not be ready to listen to the rest of this podcast episode. Now, hear me clearly, because it's not because you have everything together, but because you may be too blind to see the truth. Yes, and see, with men, I could be a little bit more direct. I could be a little bit more tough with y'all. So if you're too blind to see the truth, then come back and visit this in about a year or so. But come back and visit, okay? To the rest of you guys, I want to say this. The truth is that I haven't met a man yet that doesn't have a battle of some sort. See, we are all afflicted with an internal conflict that often impacts how we relate to the world around us. Every man, every husband has a battle. Think of your favorite superhero story. And if anybody knows me, y'all know I'm a superhero junkie. I love the hero story, but I also love villains. I like the whole world of heroes and superpowers. But think about your favorite superhero story or your favorite movie. Think about your favorite hero or your favorite protagonist. Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, the Incredible Hulk, Wolverine. Think about any of one of those that you feel is your favorite. And I can all but guarantee that their story has something to do with the hero's journey. A journey where the main character starts off as a no-name, obscure character who somehow is awoken to the latent destiny inside of them. Think of Neo in the Matrix. That's probably a great example, actually. Whether it's a superpower or a mission to solve a major problem, this character, the protagonist, is faced with a seemingly insurmountable mountain to overcome. And in order to conquer this mountain, they will have to defeat the biggest and hardest enemy in a battle, often to the death. In this story, this hero's journey, they are often faced with temptations, distractions, and confusion, but those aren't the main battle. Those are what I call micro battles, right? These battles, these micro battles, are used to point the main character in the right direction. Micro battles are designed to prepare the hero for the main battle, the battle that will determine his fate. See, in these stories, the battle is usually staged between the hero and the villain. Often, the villain is the complete antithesis of the hero, the reverse reflection of who the hero really is. Think of Batman and the Joker, right? Same person, a reverse reflection. See, the villain is the dark reflection that comes from the light emitted by the hero. The villain is the hero turned inside out, right? Think of a reflection. Think of a shadow. You have light shining onto an object. That object then emits a shadow. Hero, villain. And if you look closely enough, the villain, or the obstacle that the hero has to conquer in order to save the day, check this out. The villain is really the hero. The hero's journey is about the hero defeating himself by finding his true self and choosing to be his true self. See, the hero, in a sense, has to defy his old logic, his old nature, his faulty beliefs, his fears. He has to shed his old image and intentionally, keyword on intentionally, believe something truer about himself so that he can become the best version of himself. The hero's journey, by the way, is every man's battle. The hero journey is your battle, my battle, our battle. See, your battle as a man, as a father, as a husband is with the reflection that you see when you look into the mirror at yourself. Allow me to explain. See, here in America, especially North America, we have a have, do, be complex. As men, we derive our personal value from what we have and what we are able to do. We feel that we can only be men if, at first, we have specific things and do specific things. Think about your life. If you're honest, fellas, brothers, men, think about your life. See, you'll notice that you feel the most competent as a man based off of the things that you have, whether it's the size of your muscles, the amount of money in your bank account, how many degrees you have at the end of your name, how big your car is, your height, right? How nice and neat your beard connects. You will most likely derive who you are based off of what you have. And that notion of masculinity is often further reinforced based on what you are able to do with what you have. So, if you can buy that nice 80-inch flat screen TV based off of the money in your bank account, you do it because doing so further validates your self-identity. See, I used to do this all the time, by the way. See, I'm not just talking to y'all. I used to do this all the time. I would buy certain things. And, there was a season in my life where my weakness was nice watches and shoes. And then it was like a certain type of car or whatever the case may be, or the type of clothes that I wore, right? So I would do this so that others could see what I had and thus think certain thoughts about me based on what I possessed. See, I would go to the gym and I would lift heavy weights, right? Yeah, I would get on there, lift them weights so that others could see how strong I was. Way back in college, right? Way back in college, I would often flirt with the females and associate myself with them so that my male counterparts could see what I was capable of. Y'all, I don't know, most of y'all probably know this by now. I was in a fraternity. And that for me, I joined the fraternity so that I could feel like a celebrity on campus. Why? I wasn't trying to be a celebrity for these guys. I ain't care about y'all ashy guys. I wanted the females. Y'all need to see me. Okay. So that was the persona. I'm not going to talk more about that, but you get the point. All of this, and I'm sure you guys can relate, right? But all of this was so that I could show them, so that I could show myself that I was able and capable of being a man, capable of doing what other dudes couldn't do. Think about why you have and do certain things, and think about why you place a value on having and doing certain things, right? Think about that for a second. I just want you to ponder up those thoughts. Often, the reason is because to have these things and to be able to do these things makes us feel valuable, competent, validated. Husbands, please remember this next point. Matter of fact, get y'all pen and pad out. If y'all ain't been taking notes, write this down. As men, there are only 2 areas that we try to protect the most. Just 2. It is these 2 areas that are often the driving forces behind our desire to have and do certain things so that we can be masculine. So you're wondering what those 2 things are, right? Well, those 2 areas of vulnerability, those 2 areas of fear are when men feel incompetent and when men feel inadequate. See, incompetency means that you lack the knowledge or the ability to do something. Inadequacy means that you don't have it to give. And those are 2 great fears that all husbands wrestle with: the fear of incompetency and the fear of inadequacy. See, in all my studies, and I've been at this for a while, y'all, the one place that these 2 areas are exposed the most is in marriages. Wives, take notes now. I see y'all in the back talking. I need y'all focused. Just because y'all in the back don't mean this ain't for you too. I'm joking. But anyway, think about this. In all my studies, the only place or the main place where I see these 2 things exposed the most is in marriages. See, being married exposes all of your flaws, husbands. Your wife will in some way cause you to feel inadequate and or insufficient. Not because she wants you to feel that way, by the way. Your wife is not trying, for the most part, most wives are not trying to make you feel that way. Rather, at some point in your marriage, her actions, whether unintentionally or intentionally, will trigger these two areas of vulnerability. And as a result, your hero's journey will begin all over again. The moment you're triggered, you're then thrust into the ring with yourself, with the villain, with the shadow. The moment she triggers your greatest fears, the fear of feeling incompetent, the fear of feeling inadequate, you have to decide who to be. You have to decide who to become. It is usually at this point that husbands overcompensate. It is here where most men will over-masculinize themselves as a way to cope with feeling inadequate and or incompetent. Whether it's by overworking, overdrinking, watching porn, going to the gym 7 times a week, or having an affair, we usually cope with our inevitable battles by doing something to prove to ourselves that we are who we would like to be seen as. See, I hope you notice the trend here. Again, we do things to be. Another way to put it is that we seek to validate our identity by doing certain things. I was just in a session yesterday talking about this notion. We do things to try to validate our identity. See, whenever I slipped into pornography, and by the way, I wrestled with pornography from ages 12 to 24. Whenever I would slip there, that was my motive. That was why I did what I did. I was looking to feel something based off of what I was doing. Whenever I would shut my wife out by hiding my emotions or withdrawing my emotions from her, that was my motive. Doing these things helped me to feel in control of my masculinity. As I'm sure you can tell by now, this way of thinking is seriously flawed. Seriously flawed, guys. It's not healthy at all, okay? But doing things this way keeps you locked into the hero's journey, where your greatest enemy is yourself. I would like to issue out a challenge for all of the husbands that are listening or will listen to this at some point. I would like to challenge you to see a different alternative. An alternative where you aren't your greatest enemy, but instead you are your greatest asset. Simply put, instead of having a have, do, be complex, I would like for you to have a be, do, have complex. And by the way, I'm not just speaking to the choir. If you come into my office right now on my dry erase board, I have be, do, have. And I wish I had more time to truly dive into this concept. But for now, we're just going to skim the surface. I'm going to make this deposit, and then we may have to revisit this at a later time. But thinking from this angle of be, do, have allows you to ascribe your masculinity based on who you are, not what you have or what you are capable of doing. See, being first is all about choosing to believe and then agreeing with what is already true about you. Being first is all about having an intimate connection with, hey, by the way, any of my atheist listeners, cover your ear. No, I'm joking. Being first is all about having an intimate connection with your creator so that you could see yourself through the right lenses. Hear me clearly. Don't miss this point because it may offend some, okay? I'm just going to be honest. Do not miss this point. Truth is not concerned with how you feel, okay? So don't miss this. Imagine how much more effective you could be as a husband and as a man if you never had to prove to yourself who you were. Imagine what life would look like if you were who you truly are. I want you to remember something. Write this down, okay? Self-acceptance is the key to life. So y'all thought I was going to say something different. No, self-acceptance is the key to life. How well you accept who you are will determine what type of life you live. The quality of your marriage is based on you accepting the reflection that you see in the mirror. Your marriage depends on you being all of who God created you to be. You can never be anyone different than who you are created to be, by the way. I just want you to know that. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you deny, you can never be any more or anyone different than who you were created to be. The more you try to be someone different, the harder life and your marriage will get. You missed the point. See, you can try to be someone different. You can put on a new face, a new persona. You can wear a mask, and you can try. Doesn't negate your truth, but you can try. And the more you try that, the harder life and your marriage will get. The harder you will start pushing upstream, the more difficult challenges will be because you're operating outside of your truth. For some of you, becoming your true self is merely a matter of already believing what is true about you. You've already heard from God about your true nature. You just have to believe what He has said and be who you see. For others, becoming your true self is more about learning from God and the people around you, because they're going to reflect back to you your truth as well, but learning how He sees you and then becoming that version. For you, your life has constantly been pushing you into micro battles that are intended to help you truly self-actualize. Remember, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Your job is to see who you are so that you could be that person. And the more you try to fight against it, the more micro battles you'll have, the more stuck in the hero's journey you will find yourself. And I've seen men just wrestle with this, and they abdicate their position or they reject their truth and they try to live something other than who they are. And my message for you in this brief podcast is quit fighting. Quit fighting against yourself and accept your truth. So I'll do it this way. I want to wind down because I could stay stuck here for hours. And guess what? When we do our Mastering Marriage workshops, I'll be able to spend as much time with the men. And also, I was speaking to a couple husbands last week and they both confirmed this. Once I'm done with my PhD next year, that's when I can be more creative and start these retreats. And there's one for husbands that I've been just daydreaming about, a husband retreat where we can be big kids and men at the same time. A husband retreat where it's all about learning and growth and sharing intimate, safe space with other men while also being competitives, while also being lions and seeing who could win in cornhole and, who's the best chess player and all these other things that, we want to do, but we don't have the room to always do, right? Physical fitness, boxing, working out. It's about to go down. But until then, I got a daydream because I got to finish this PhD. So I'm going to get over the hump and then we're going to get to work. Okay, fellas? But in the meantime, those of you that need more guidance, those of you who need someone to kind of walk with them on your hero's journey, listen, I would like to put my hat in the ring. I would like to put myself out there as someone who can help guide you along your hero's journey. By the way, we all need accountability anyway. So if you would like to talk more about this, even if it's just a consultation, even if you just have a question or two, listen, I don't bite. Simply email me at david@marpaceservices.com. Now, I will admit, since I started this podcast, my waiting list has grown. My emails have grown, and therefore it may take me a minute, like a week or so, to get back to you. But please reach out. I will respond, and I will be there to help you out if need be, okay? And so far, I've been extremely fortunate, especially since starting this podcast up again. I've been extremely fortunate to work with some wonderful, wonderful individuals, both women and men. But just thinking about the men now, man, I've been very blessed to just meet all kinds of men from different walks of life, older, younger, different stages of their development. And man, it's just been a treat to break bread, to lock arms with them, to be generals with them, and to help them to get suited and booted and to become better versions of themselves as husbands. And so, listen, if you're interested in reaching out, hit me up, David at Marpe, M-A-R-P-E, services.com. If you have my number, if you find my number, call me, text me, and I will be there. So here, let's do this though. I want to give you an action item because I know this episode was just to get the gears turning. I could stay and do this for another 2 hours, but ain't nobody got time for that. I got to work. I got to do dissertation stuff. So I want to give you guys an action item. And this action item, I actually shifted it. I changed it because of my most recent coaching session with the husband. I'm going to take what he told me he was doing and I'm going to give it to you guys because I think it's an excellent idea. And it's something that I did for years. So if you do not have one of these, I want you to get one of these. I want you to start journaling. So if you don't have what I would call a man book or a journal, the wives will call a diary. If you don't have one of those, I want you to go and buy one. Get a leather bound one if you can. They're cheap on Amazon. Get a composition notebook if you need to. But I want you to start writing things down. And the very first question that I want to pose to you, that I want you to answer, specifically focus on this one question first. And this question came from my session that I just got out of with the husband that I was working with. And I love that he asked himself this question. And so I was like, you know what, that's a great idea. I'm actually going to probably do a podcast on this. But for now, I want you to write down this question. What are the lies that you are believing about yourself? What are the things that as a husband, as a man, the lies that you've kept, that you've protected, that you've repeated, that you've believed about yourself that's causing you to be stuck in the hero's journey? Right? What does your villain look like? Who is he? And what is not true about you that you're still carrying with yourself? Perhaps these lies you're taking with you into your marriage and they're contaminating how you love your spouse. Anyway, I'll probably do a podcast on this topic and I'll open this subject up to the wives as well. So wives, y'all in the back of the classroom, write this question down. What are the lies that you are believing about yourself? And we're going to spend some time perhaps diving deeper into this, okay? But I'm going to wrap up here. And it is my desire that both you and your spouse use this information to take your marriage to the next level. But remember, you only get out of your marriage what you put into your marriage, not what you want from your marriage. So get to work putting in the work. Also, real quick, I just want to let you guys know that I am looking to go to a bi-weekly calendar session now. So I'll most likely produce a new episode every other week, only because while I'm in my dissertation stage, I don't have the bandwidth to create new podcast episodes and create for my dissertation. So I got to pace myself, and this will help me to not just stop doing episodes altogether. So I'm going to go to a bi-weekly for a little bit. So please forgive me if you're looking for weekly shows. I'm going to go bi-weekly now for a little bit and most likely return back to doing weekly at some point. Anyways, I just want to say thank you for coming into your session at the Marriage Counselor's Corner podcast. I want you to join me in the next episode number 23, where we're going to talk about another very important topic that you don't want to miss out on. And as always, please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you are downloading your podcast from. Leave me an honest rating and review, even if it's a 3-star, but hopefully not. But leave your honest rating and review. And that way, other people can have access to these episodes as well. And I'll try to read more reviews as I get more reviews. Okay? Anyway, I would like to just say thank you again. I hope you guys have a great week focusing on this content, applying this information, going out there, doing your best. And I greatly appreciate just all of the feedback that I've been getting, all of the people reaching out. And thank you. And I will see you guys in episode number 23. Keep up the good work. Stay smart, be intentional, stay out of trouble, and I will talk to you guys soon. Deuces.
Thanks for stopping by for your seat on the couch at the Marriage Counselor's Corner. Remember, go to marriagecounselorscorner.com to schedule your next session. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so that you never miss a session. We look forward to having you back on the couch soon. Bye-bye now.